It's like the solvent to polarity. The mind is insane. It's always in conflict with itself. I can give analogies all day for that. People don't understand how I can, how I can go up to wild animals and coexist with them. I'll go into the forest and be a group of deer, and my presence is acknowledged. I can go lie down next to them, not to, impose upon them. I don't go up and try to pet them. I don't do those stupid human things. I'm aware, and they know it. See, they don't need to assess it. They don't need to go read a book about humans to know what they're dealing with. Why do you think most animals bolt when you come by? Because they see you are detached. They see that you are insane. They don't need to know your name, your history, what you think your intentions are. They see it as a disease, as something that scares them. See, most people walk up to an animal and they have this hope. Oh, come here, I won't hurt you, come on. They have this hope that the animal will come, so they're trying to pursue that hope. But the hope in a binary, polarized mind would have to be offset by a belief that it will not come. Otherwise, what are you hoping for? And that duality, that insanity, is being broadcast at the animal simultaneously. And if your belief that it won't come is going to be more solid, because the hope is transient, it's in that situation. That's being created from a belief that was in your mind before you saw the animal or came into its contact with it. It's, rather, I can't tell you how to do it. There is no procedure to know what I mean when I say you go up to an animal and you're not broadcasting a hope that it will come to you or a belief that it will not, but seeing it as an equal creation and being able to communicate with it. The animals accept my presence. They acknowledge it, and I understand them. It's funny how deer will go through a certain little ritual to, it's cute, they communicate with me, and I understand what they're meaning, what they're saying. A biologist would take notes and say, well, when it does this with its head and does this and this, it means that. The insanity of it. Deer can mean different things doing the same thing. Either you're connected to the Creator or you're not. It's like people that complain that they can't find a boyfriend or a girlfriend. They want one so bad, they hope they're going to meet somebody, so of course they have a belief that they will not. Otherwise, what are they hoping for? So they'll buy a certain type of perfume, or maybe go shopping to get better outfits. So all these procedures that are built upon the hope. Maybe they'll run into somebody that's magnetically opposite to them in their charge and never works out, right? Forcing it that way. But then you'll hear people say, well, gosh, you know what though? I met the perfect person when I least expected it. I was busy, I was doing something else, I wasn't thinking about it, and bang! There they were. Welcome to life. Now, why did that happen? You weren't acting upon a hope that you'll meet somebody. Therefore, the belief that you will not was not active and resonating. You allowed it to happen. This is the truth of your existence. There is another example of abundance. You think with the brain that you will learn something from aliens. What is an alien in an infinite consciousness system? What is that? Alien? Are there beings that are controlling you and running this planet that are not the same as you, that are not human? Yes, of course there are. But you've got to understand that they are disconnected as well. So it doesn't matter if their IQ is 1,500 or if they have equivalent of 5 of your brains and can have 40 conversations at once. It's still memory, recall, processing, storage, and insane. It doesn't even matter if most of what they have retained appears to be correct. They will never, ever be as intuitive as a butterfly. Any person connected to intuition, to what they are, will always make quicker and better decisions than any demon, any alien, anything disconnected from the Creator. Always. I've had people ask me, so what about this mind control? Are you saying that they can interface with your brain and put images in your brain and thoughts and all kinds of stuff? How do you handle that? Well, imagine if they wanted to mind control a butterfly with the same type of images and thought implants. And of course, don't memorize butterfly. It can be anything that's connected to creation. Say they want to mind control a finch or a robin bird, okay? Well, they couldn't do it the same way. Why? They don't have the brain size to process it and store the information used to program them. But wait a minute, they're able to make incredible decisions, it appears, irrelevant of what they have stored. See, when you're connected to intuition, even if you forget what you've learned, it's always available to you. You can take an Alzheimer's patient, connect them to love and intuition. They may have forgotten what they did last year, but they won't forget that the stove is on. They won't forget certain things they need to know. Why? Is it coming from the brain? No. But why am I telling you this? If they couldn't control or mind control a bird with the same type of things they use on humans, then what are they depending upon? Very basically, what are they depending upon? The cerebral cortex, your computer. When you connect to intuition, thought implant is corrected in real time. See, if you try to memorize how they control your mind, and all the different techniques, and I try to strategize against it from within the mind that they're controlling, forget about it. You're cooked. If you allow love and intuition to command your mind, it doesn't matter what they put into it. It knows. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that. What have I witnessed in the last year? Well, let's see. I've had human being agents turn on a microphone, hearing background noise in a room, speaking to me occasionally. I've seen them put in visual subliminal messages right into my brain. I understand the technology. There's no point in telling you right now, but that is also very, very basic. Otherwise, an EEG wouldn't work. I have had them put things that look like PowerPoints in my head. I remember I woke up from sleeping and I opened my eyes, which I knew right away. See, intuition was letting me know when it happened, why it happened. It triggered my brain into beta, which that triggered the program. Once the brain goes into beta, that means he's awake, and then he won't notice it. His eyes will be open because it's very faint. Intuition had me shut my eyes real quick, and there's this gray square with rounded corners, and it has a title that says Preconceived Core of Beliefs. I've never heard the term before, nothing, okay? This is what was in, and it had like 3 questions underneath it. And then it showed, if you've seen the movie The Ring, you know that video they all watch in The Ring, where it's just a series of strange scenes and bizarre images and such. It was like that for 4 minutes straight. I'm just watching it. They've tried to intimidate me by putting really bizarre thoughts in my head, scary thoughts. They can simulate my voice. They've put my own voice in my head. Easy. They've sampled my speech patterns, my resonance, my style, and have radiated my voice back at me. I caught it because of intuition. Said, catch this. I was thinking about something else, and all of a sudden said, do you notice there's another thing going on right now? Listen. Saying the most perverted things, and they put perverted images in my head, scary images in my head, everything you can imagine. I have had what some of you would call aliens try to control my mind, a consciousness. Some of you would call demons that have tried to psychically attack me and control my mind. Was witnessing what you would call paranormal stuff, things moving on their own. I've been hit with what are like energy balls that feel like it's going to knock your spirit right out of the body. I've had my bed shaken violently, all kinds of things. So, see, when I say so big deal, the insane mind says, what do you mean big deal? What do you mean so? Again, does a butterfly memorize its vector of travel, all the things it needs to know to make the trip from South America to Canada? When have they controlled my mind successfully? I started to be shown this. When you are disconnected from love. When you are not, you're like Neo watching the code go by. No alien, no matter how intelligent they appear, no matter what technology they have, if they're disconnected from love, they cannot compare to me. And they know it. They try to assess it. How is he resisting? Let's try this. Let's try that. They mix it up. They keep strategizing. They can't touch what they perceive as intellect. Just the way it is. No mind control can control. Mind control is structure. It originates from a mind, a result of creation. Therefore, trying to affect a mind, a result of creation. If you don't get it yet, if you connect to the Creator, not religion, if you connect to that which created you, yeah, it controls your mind better than anything it created can. No problem. It's not even a question. It's not even, you don't quite appreciate what I'm saying to you. The mind is structure. It's a binary apparatus. It's a computer. It's binary. It's polarized. On, off. Yes, no. And you're thinking, well, my thoughts are not yes or no. I'm neutral about things. Well, no. Even your neutrality can be broken up into components that are yes or no. They're trying to digitize people. That's what they've done. That's where digital has come out. That's why everything is digital. It's their very nature. Why else would digital occur? If people, the consciousness that's controlling all of you is suffering from a very huge bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder is being stuck in the mind with no love. See, I don't care who you are. If you're connected to the Creator, You cannot be insane in any given moment. I use this example. See, people just don't understand. When I say, sometimes I've said love commands the mind, but people don't understand that. They link the word command with control. And that isn't it. Love allows the mind to be what it was supposed to be, a tool used by love. The mind is structure, which is a result of interference patterns of energy, which is structure. Shut your eyes and think of a flower right now. Imagine a flower in your mind. Imagine a daisy. Do you see it? Where is it? Tell me, where is it? Where is that daisy? Imagine a garden now. Where is that garden? What is that garden? You can see it, can't you? What is that? Now let's be more specific. Why is that? You know what you're seeing. Why are you seeing it? Where is it? What is its dimensions? Is that all of your mind? Or a result of the mind, which is holographic? Those are interference patterns, reverse engineered. It's like in a chemistry formula, they don't have really equal signs. They have arrows that go both ways. If it's a back and forth thing, same thing. You've observed the garden, which is just really the detection of waveforms of energy, mapped it in your mind, stored away that as waveforms, and now you're reproducing those waveforms to see the image. Holograms, if you've taken a physics class, even in high school, you usually have a unit where you make yourself a hologram. You use a laser and you split the light beam so you hit it from different angles. But when you look at that, your teacher will tell you, okay, let's look at the film, and you see that it's just concentric rings that interfere with each other, like waves and David Icke even talks about this. They're interfering with each other. Well, you're not seeing a picture when you look at that. It's only when you shine the light on it, the laser, in the correct way, that your brain interprets it as an image. You just did the same thing by viewing the garden in your mind. It's structure. It's the result of creation. Love is the intention of God. God, there is only one God, and you are part of that God. You are the garden in God's mind. So, you, as being part of the garden, can you get cancer? Well, see, God doesn't visualize you. It doesn't make you a fixed image. It loves so much and has so much ability that it wants you to be self-aware, to observe it, enjoy it, assist it. Do you like to dream? You ever have a really good dream? Everybody in that dream was you. Everything in that dream was you. God's a dreamer. Except when it creates self-aware components, somehow what happened is part of it got disconnected from it. A self-aware creation of God, which is a part of God, that got disconnected from the Creator. God is the wrong word. And along with that comes fear, and then the predictable. The structure is so predictable. It's not to insult it. I'm not insulting the cancerous energy that's controlling everything right now. But it's so obvious that you, of course, would get scared and then try to, control everything. And then you can become addicted. Addiction comes from disconnection from the Creator. What you call the Illuminati and the energy they're serving is incredibly addicted to what it's doing, and I won't get into it right now. But obvious results. The mind is structure, so therefore math is structure. Mathematics, geometry, numerology. It's the result of creation. Now you have a disconnected part of that creation that tries to assess everything by looking at all of the results of the creation and not the creator. So it's a bunch of copying, reconfiguring, trying to use structure against structure. Math is not life. You've got to understand, they're obsessed with numerology, zodiac, astrology, witchcraft. The whole thing is bound by structure. The pyramid, the energy grids on the planet, they look and say, okay, it appears here, and structurally we can say why. Because they're refusing, they're scared to death of this energy saying, you were part of me. And it's building up a wall of defense, or has, against it. How does love then take command over structure? Well, you've got to be connected to it. And if you're disconnected from it and don't seek it with its hand always extended out to you, even this cancerous energy has a giant hand saying, just grab it, man, just grab it. Then you'll say, I don't believe in God. What if one of your skin cells said, if one of my skin cells said, I don't believe John exists. If you exist, John, show me yourself. Well, I can't, because it makes me up. I can't shrink myself down without shrinking it down. It can't perceive me in my full form from the outside to see me as a being if it's within my being. I can love it, send it nutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, electrolytes, minerals, oxygen. But when it's healthy, it just knows that. Cancer is induced by trauma. And that can come in various ways. It could be a virus. It could be UV damage to a cell. What happens there? The DNA gets so beat up, base pairs are removed. It has different repair mechanisms. Sometimes it's able to replace base pairs that have been lost. Sometimes it's so screwed up it undergoes what's called gross repair. It just starts putting them together at random. Normally the cell dies. But sometimes it creates what's called an oncogene, or this is how they assess it molecularly. Like computers, geneticists don't get it. If you take an advanced genetic course in university, you'll see that everything is explained to you either in math or structure. You take chemistry and it's all structure, electronegativity. The Creator put in my mind, there's an element right away. What's missing from the periodic table? Time. But anyway, electronegativity is the tendency of an atom, or the nucleus of an atom, to want to draw electron consciousness around it within a molecule. You see that with water. Oxygen would be considered an electronegative atom, and hydrogen's not. So when you have two hydrogens hanging off of an oxygen, and you have all the electron consciousness bathing it, surrounding it, seeing itself as I, the water molecule, it decides to allocate more electrons, or that consciousness, around the oxygen. Therefore, less electron energy is shielding the hydrogens. So they call it a polarized molecule, or polar. Positive charge by the hydrogens and negative or more electron consciousness around the oxygen. Well, okay. So it's like magnets or magnetic attraction. If you start to get large molecules, they can start to have different... When you have proteins in your body, let's deal with the body. You have different levels of structure. They call them primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary. Tertiary would be... Primary is just the chain. Secondary is the winding of the chain. Tertiary would be folding of the chain upon itself to take a shape. Quaternary would be different molecules coming together and being magnetically attracted to each other, like an antibody would be quaternary structure. Okay? Why am I telling you this? Because how does an enzyme then? An enzyme is a protein with a large chain, in chains wrapped around themselves to take a shape. Scientists say, well, There are different atoms in there that are electronegative, and they draw a certain amount of electron consciousness around themselves, therefore, making other atoms more positively charged as it appears. So any molecule that will come in contact with it will be magnetically attracted to the various components of that enzyme. Beep, 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 boop, 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 boop. Just a computer thinking that through. Then you have coenzymes that attach to the enzyme, like certain B vitamins that, because of its electronegativity, draws certain electronegative consciousness or certain electron consciousness around itself, therefore shielding less of certain parts of the enzyme. So because of that, changes certain magnetic relationships and it changes its shape. And then you have cofactors which attach to the certain coenzymes like magnesium, and that draws more, or gives off more electrons to change its shape, turn it on, turn it off, like a computer. DNA multiplies because you have a helicase enzyme that starts to go anywhere within the DNA and open it up like a bubble and unwind it, unzip it. And then polymerase enzyme will attach itself to a certain codon and begin to move down that codon to transcribe RNA, which is then transferred to a ribosome, which reads that through electronegative attraction and transcribes an amino acid, which becomes a protein, which becomes a structure. What? Okay, that is, yeah, that structure that is occurring, sure. What they're missing is the consciousness involved. What do you think, that just happens at random? Meiosis and mitosis are just random acts of accidental attraction due to electronegativity and charge within certain molecules? What? And you actually have professors that think they know something that teach this. The reason they think they know something is because they're only allowed to know that and ridiculed if they don't, or if they don't follow that, so that they can brainwash other students and keep them from thinking. It's structure. And even the consciousness that runs it is structure. Let me give you a really good example of what I mean. Because, see, I could go on all day about this. Literally, I could have a 150-hour upload. I could go on about science, properties, reality, whatever, all day. It will do nothing for you. I need to give you metaphors. I need to give you the ability to understand what I'm talking about. So let me try to do that for you. I remember going through the pre-med major was a breeze for me. Did I get all A's? No. Sometimes I made the decision to do something else. But when I studied it, I enjoyed it, but I had nobody around who understood it. There was one professor who memorized a lot that I like, and he was a Jewish professor who always felt this need to challenge me. I know why now. But we still get along. We just last month we were arguing for like 4 hours about who runs the world and what's going on, back and forth, of course, of the Jewish thing, back and forth. I had intuition, he had structure. We end with a hug, of course, because he knew that I saw through that and saw what was occurring with him on one level. When I had him he was my physiology professor, but I also took clinical endocrinology with him. And I had other things going on. I missed 3 weeks of class straight. I went into his office, and the exam was the following day. I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm fucked, aren't I, Not because I didn't think I could do it. I just knew that the protocol of everything, You need to be here this long in order to learn. This is what I believe, that type of thing. But we sat down and had a heart-to-heart talk about life for about an hour, and I really appreciated that. He took the time to do that. I really did appreciate that. And he said, okay, well, the exam's tomorrow. Here's what you need to know. And he handed me about 3 inches thick of, information, notes, handouts, all of that. By then I knew that I could understand what I was looking at from a different point of view. I said, okay. I took it home and learned it. Didn't memorize it. I learned it, which allowed me to retain it. And I took the exam, and then of course he hands it back the following week, and he throws it down on my desk shaking his head. And there's the grade B+. And then he says, flash recall will get you nowhere. And I knew right then he couldn't understand that it was not flash recall. I still, to this day, know most of what was on that exam. I throw it in his face even now. This is one of the things I was arguing with him about. I say, you see, this was like 10 years ago. Almost. Yeah, 10 years ago, actually. And you accuse me of flash recall. Compare me to any student you have right now. The understanding of it. What I'm trying to show you, I said to him, is that I understand why things are happening. Love, the intelligence of love. I've used this analogy. It was given to me sitting by a river. I had the question, what is love then? The answer was given to me right there on the spot. It explained the concept of male-female energy to me in my mind, in my heart, and it just, how can I explain this to you? I was sitting by a river, and there, you know those certain plants that pop up out of grass that have the male components sticking up, the female leaves and everything? It just points my head down. Look at that leaf. You just know, so you look at it. And I'm trying to figure out, what is it trying to tell me until I realize it infuses into me. Okay, male and female components. Then it will make me observe what's around the structure. Oh, the energy manifesting it. Okay, now I get it. So, male, female energy. Then it moves my head up to the sun. And then I realize, okay, male energy. That's what the sun is. Outward energy. Then it moved it down to my penis. Male energy. Outward energy. Then it moved my head up to, not like controlling me like a puppet, it's just the way I'm saying it to you, to leaves on a tree. Well, they receive the photon energy, they're female, and the energy around them, female. Receiving. And then the parts of the tree that look like an antenna, the broadcast antenna, that's the male part of the tree. And then maybe understand that I'm not talking about masculine and feminine. Everybody has so many different male, female energies, in, out energies in your body. Then I understood, and then it put in my mind, now you understand what's going on. There's this outward destructive energy occurring on the planet. All the electromagnetic pollution, stimulation, everything is this outward male energy. That's why the Illuminati worship the sun and the phallus, and it's male energy. But see, when you're hit with all this electromagnetic energy, it throws your energy system out of balance, which can be female out of balance and male out of balance. It made me understand that if male is out of balance, outward giving energy becomes aggressive, forceful energy. It can be in your actions, striking another individual, venomous words and language. It's an outward aggressive energy. If female is out of balance, then rather than being receiving, you become absorbing, gluttony, shopping excessively, consuming, basically. People that are around you that feel like they suck your energy away from you, that's female energy out of balance. The more out of balance it becomes, the more out of balance male becomes in a person, they become more bipolar or polarized. It made me look at my shoes. I'm like, what am I looking at my shoes for? And then it focuses on the rubber on the bottom of my shoes. The rubber on your shoes, that's an insulator. You're walking around without the ability to discharge or ground yourself to the planet and rid your body of this excess electromagnetic energy, which is throwing you out of balance. It said, take your shoes off. So I took my shoes off. It says, now you're discharging. Put your feet in the water. Now we're bringing you into balance. And then it made me look at the tree and made me understand this. The tree is the same as you. It has in and out energy, male, female energy. It's conscious on a different time scale. The tree is one of the most content life forms there is because it need not even move. Put the question in my mind, and I say it like that, you think that there's some sort of dialogue going on. Again, it's the only way I can express it to you, but that's not how it is. But that's how I'm going to say it, okay? Just to make it easy to speak to you. If a tree were scared of dying or being killed, would it even grow? You can do anything to a tree and it will keep growing until it loses its capability. But if it were worried about a tornado that could show up at some time, what is the point of growing? It said, if you want to see what you're missing, look to the tree. What does the tree have that you don't have? And then it whipped my head back down, male, female, sun, leaves, all around, trying to coordinate it for me, extracting a metaphor. I didn't have the information available to me that I could look up, so it had to do it this way. And then in my head it came up with certain things. Well, okay, it wasn't inhibited by religion, forced into synthetic guilt, shame, and fear. It wasn't told generically what it's supposed to do but not explained to it, and then coaxed with subliminal messages and programming and consciousness manipulation to make it do what it's not supposed to do. It's not inhibited with fluoride or NutraSweet. It's not subject to media or mind control. So the tree has an active connection to love and intuition. And it said, love, and this is where I learned this, love processes the mind. It is the solvent to polarity. The mind, which is this input-output male-female energy and consciousness and structure, therefore exists in the tree and in you, regardless of difference in form. Why create everything the same? All things being equal, though, same type of energy system, it is connected to me. So then the scenario went. When you walk into the woods, why is it that everybody, they can be angry, afraid, worried, frustrated? All these different vibrations associated with your thoughts. Your thought will be on the carrier wave of that vibration. One and the same. So, like, if you listen to your favorite radio station, 103.2 megahertz, are you listening to a constant tone of 103.2 megahertz? No, your ear can't even receive that. And even if it was decoded and lowered down, that'd just be a constant sine wave. No, that's the carrier wave. And then embedded secondarily upon that is the audiogram of the music that you hear, the spectrogram and audiogram of the music upon that carrier wave. Well, your thoughts, you can have a thought, I am John, and have that go on different carrier waves. One of lack of self-esteem, one of love, one of answering a question when a professor says, please raise your hand in attendance. The same information can go on different carrier waves. So the emotion is information. It is also a thought in and of itself, and so is the thought. When you walk out into the woods and you feel bad, why does everybody start to feel better? They all know what, but they don't understand why. Well, gee, maybe it's just because it's so serene. No. And it directed me to go start walking in the woods. So take off your shoes. So I took off my shoes, And I started walking in the woods. How do you feel? Feel better. Why? And then just whip my head. Male, female, love, male, female, love. This aura around me, which would be like the electron consciousness around a proton of an atom in a different way, expands now. Additional energies were drained. And any angst, any anxiety was being radiated out. And of course, same bandwidth of existence the trees are in as you, otherwise you couldn't perceive them. Their input-output male-female energy receives your thought and emotion. Yet its animation is guided by this love and this intuition by the Creator itself. And so it is that love that processes your feeling. Is it absorbed by the female part, like a functioning calculus? What's missing in calculus and not missing in the tree is the love and the creation and the intent. And that love knows everything, so it catches that your emotion is wrong. Not in my world are you to be feeling that way. Let me assess why. As you're radiating out all the information about what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, everything. It takes it and turns what's incorrect into correct, changing the carrier wave frequency to what it should be, and the information being adjusted, and then the male part of the tree radiates it back to you on your frequency because that's what it came in as. And that information infuses you and alters your perception of what you were worried about and gives you the true way to view it indirectly, just by being around other life forms still connected to love. Answers can come from trees. Is it coming from the tree itself or the love that it's connected to that processes your thoughts? And it said, what's going on this planet is a disease. In its truest form, it's a disconnection. And what you're experiencing now is what your body has been disconnected from. Love is the processor and solvent to polarity. It commands the mind. It allows it to work correctly, infusing it with information. All the animals, all the plants, everything there is what you're going to learn from. You are not going to learn from aliens. They are just as disconnected. The ones that are running this planet are disconnected. You cannot learn from them. Stop looking up for UFOs. Stop looking up for new information. And look at what I have allowed to be right in front of you. My creation in its perfect form. They did not think to alter all the other creations. Therefore, your answer is right in front of your face. You are going to pull out of this that you're in by observing my other creations that are not suffering from it. Your answers are in front of your face, and I am guiding you now. And that's how it happened with me. The most advanced scientific knowledge given to me from the creative source. No book, no video, no lecture, no mentor, no professor. Unnecessary. It said if you, in your role, which I didn't believe at that time, because of my ego, there's 6.5 billion people. How could this be me? It said, why not? Are you or are you not in connection with this intuition? Have you or have you not noticed that your whole life and wondered what everybody's missing? Do they or do they not want you not to know that? Will they or will they not make sure you keep running into people in life that tell you that you're not that? Am I the only one? No. And then the final thought was, they're all supposed to be this way. When you understand you are no more special or worse than anything you're looking at, then you will begin to heal. And that is not something that you can convince yourself of, like some sort of affirmation. I am no better or no worse. I'll force myself to believe that. No, no, no. When you realize the beauty of it, heaven emerges. Your sensory system expands. You see things you never saw before. it said, in my mind, it used what I knew, and if I didn't know it, it would show me like that. It would teach me like that. Now, during these lessons is when, I've always had a good relationship with animals. When I lived in Australia, I was feeding wild birds out of my window with my hand. And it reminded me of that. So because then you were loving towards the birds. You didn't have any belief that they wouldn't come or any hope that they would. You knew you loved them. You knew it. You didn't question your own love for them. And because of that, it allowed them to come eat out of your hand, and all your roommates said, "I don't believe it." And as I started to learn that, that's when I started to be able to just walk up to animals and they would start responding to me. Because God is part of all of them. And it's saying, you see, love my other creations. And this is where humans are suffering. And then started teaching me why the animals run. I didn't read some philosophy book. And the computerized people, they respond to me, I've had everybody say, "Oh, well, that's so-and-so. Oh, you need to talk to a Buddhist," one guy said to me. "I do? Why is that?" "You need to talk to a Hindu." "I do? Why is that?" I'm talking to the Creator right now. Those people are bound by structure. Why did I always have this feeling of connection to Bruce Lee? Because I understood what he was talking about. You see, there are a lot of people here that are playing a role in the healing of humanity who will begin to be revealed to you. One I can tell you right off the bat, without a doubt, the moment I saw him, within minutes, I knew. He's famous. The only reason I bring it up, I've seen a lot of people that are not. I bring up a famous person so you know who I'm talking about. It has nothing to do with their fame. One person I know that's here on behalf of the Creator is Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer. He deals with robots on a daily basis. People think it's about how to raise your animal. That's what the show is about. No, it's showing humans their disorder. That's what that show is about. Through metaphor. I don't have to guess. I don't need to talk to him. I know. It's just that. So love can change your perception, even indirectly. If you have love in you, and someone tries to psychically attack you, those carrier waves, that information, the intent of that is grabbed by love, and it says, It's just the way it is. I have all this consciousness around me constantly trying to attack me, and they're trying to figure it out structurally. Why is he resisting? Does this mean I'm immortal? No. See, you're all caught in a cycle here. They make you guilty. They infuse in your mind the cancerous intent, and it's sublime. It's a crime that's sublime. It's subliminal in so many ways. And then try to tell you quickly when you die how guilty you are. Use the threat of hell to get you to agree to an alternative, which is contracting to be a victim in your next role to learn your lesson. So they just do it to you again and keep working on your soul to break your will until you feel like you're so bad that you can't even perceive that you would be loved by God, so they can absorb you. So what is going on here, and what I don't need to tell you how I got here yet. The best way I can explain it to you is I was assessed by a structural mind when I came. Disconnected from intuition, therefore, I was not told what I was. Otherwise, that would have been read in my mind. When I was born, the love in me was seen like a beacon. They go after that right away. That's what they're trying to stop. I was allowed to suffer, dip into all kinds of horrible things in life just enough to understand it, see virtually every aspect from every cultural point of view, shown that I have this ability to influence anybody of any race, of any culture, anywhere on the planet Earth, and beyond. Everything is coming together, okay, and I could go on for 150 hours about that. Let's say I was allowed to be trapped, caught in the net, like a Trojan horse, on behalf of that which creates everything. Many of us are. I am a specific one. Then, from a pool of those inside, certain ones are activated to activate others. What is my job? What is my task? It's a pretty tough one. I have to come in and tell you that on one level, everybody you look at is you. And there you are criticizing them, competing against them, weighing your existence against them. What do you need to know right now? So going back to the Cancer energy and understanding that there is a certain part of the energy used by that above you to see itself as I, that Cancer, right, disconnects you from, and like in your cells, and plugs into it so it can use your cells to see itself as I, separate from you. There's a whole procedure that would be involved there on its time scale of breaking that cell's will, enticing it to leave a perfect system already that you're not aware of. What I'm telling you is that on this level, the same thing is occurring. Here's the deal. I'm just going to tell you as it is, because it is. There's a giant consciousness connected to all of you right now. That's the secret the Illuminati know. And it's breaking your will with each life cycle and each new day, distracting you, disconnecting you from the Creator. The people that use, quote, witchcraft or psychic attack, some of them probably don't even realize, the low-end witchcraft people think that they actually have some sort of power. No. When you astral travel, remote viewing, all of that is traveling within the consciousness of this Cancer. Demons are no different than an electron manifesting in the consciousness surrounding a proton of an atom at any given time, anywhere. It's no different than the daisy you made in your mind. Is that all of your mind? So, because it's plugged into you, it's playing a role in the creation of your own reality. So, the ultimate truth is, when you break out, when I was broken out, it tried to backlash against me and overwhelm me, but it can't do anything to love. There's a giant consciousness running the whole planet. And it can't hurt love. Do you hear what I'm saying? It just can't. It can't do it because it doesn't matter how much energy it allocates. See, if love wanted to kill this energy, it could. That's not the point. It wants to heal it. That's why these things are being allowed to happen. Everything is going to be healed. All of it. Otherwise, it would just destroy it. Bang, gone. People ask, why would God of the Bible let this happen? Well, you don't understand it correctly. 2,000 years to you is certainly not that to the Creator and even to this Cancer consciousness. It's on a different scale. Your lifetime to the Earth is very, very short. To the Earth in its time scale, the moon, for example, is going around it really fast. Like Superman in Superman 1, where he goes around the planet. To you, it's slower. It's a difference in time. It's like the cancer cells or cells being attacked by cancer in your body saying, where is this person, you, with the cancer? That's why fear and anger and all these energies feed cancer, as much as trying to war with demons or the aliens or us against them. That's a cancer attitude. That's exactly what it wants. If you direct hate towards it, it feeds from that. It's the way it is. If you fear it, it feeds from it. Anything that gives it energy. So, what is it like then? Well, again, another movie, The Matrix. Anybody can become an agent at any time. Yeah. See, the people that wrote that movie probably predicted you wouldn't, or felt that you wouldn't know what they're really telling you. Yeah, the people that are disconnected from love, their subconscious mind, which is plugged into this cancer, could be hijacked at any time. Even my own parents have threatened me and have no knowledge of it. I've had two people in different instances when I've talked about life and what's going on in love. One, my ex-girlfriend's younger brother, just suddenly said, John, this is weird. I just had this vision put in my head of me grabbing this knife and cutting your throat. Intuition made me understand immediately. I said, don't worry about that. 5 months later, I was at another person's house. Another guy says the exact same thing. I just had this vision of me cutting your throat. Imagine me being able to say, oh, don't worry about that. That's happened before. You know, I knew he wasn't ready to hear the truth. In his state, he's disconnected, pot smoker. People, they want you smoking pot. The way to influence the human mind is pretty simple. Make it illegal for a certain period of time. It's the fastest growing biomass on the planet. And then, at the same time, make sure you release medical information that contradicts its being illegal. Harvard, October 24th, 2006, released the information that it prevents the plaques and tangles formed in Alzheimer's. It promotes frontal lobe neuronal growth, all of these things. It's really good for you. Harvard? Yeah. Why? Because they're going to legalize it eventually. And then that will disconnect your aura from you and bring you into this mental realm where you can be controlled even more, and that will be used for their scalar jump. What is a scalar jump? Well, see, remember now, a scalar jump would be atoms bonding together to form a molecule. It sees itself as I. Molecules to tissues, tissues to structures, structures to you. Do you call yourself we the atoms, we the molecules? No, you call yourself I. Well, the tumor in your body goes along the same scalar process. It hijacks cells till it can use the cells to see itself as I, until it's a tumor, and then sees itself as the tumor, I the tumor, and then more than one tumor, I the collection of tumors, and it's just this insane growth. Well, see, when you see this Illuminati pyramid, you don't know what you're looking at. A lot of people think it's a pyramid with a capstone over it that's been lifted off. No, that's not what it is at all. The pyramid is what you're calling the capstone. What is beneath it is its prediction, its goal. And its goal is to lower down, bang, and be a much larger pyramid, or scalar jump. Its goal, to completely take over the earth and the consciousness of the earth. And it goes in scales. Has taken over humanity. Look at you. None of you know why you're here or what you're doing, why you pursue the goals that you're told you're supposed to pursue. The whole money system, there's no need for money in the universe. None whatsoever. There's no need for it. At all. There's no need for a monetary system. At all. You wanted to build the buildings that you build? Fine. Humanity could have come together collectively to do it because they wanted to do it. People don't need to be paid, and they don't, it's a disease. Money has even got a hex on it. It's Kabbalah. The less love you have, the more shame you have, the less self-esteem you have, the more controllable you are. Why? Because you're supposed to have self-esteem. You're supposed to have self-love. They condition you to call that, bragging if someone loves themselves. What? No. To love yourself is to love your creation, which means by default, you'll love the Creator. And nothing can control you. What am I telling you? What have I experienced? Well, perfect strangers, over 100 by now, come by, and you call it synchronicity. Most synchronicity is this cancer consciousness utilizes the same mode of communication in some ways as God would, so God uses other methods, but a lot of synchronicity is coordinated and created by this cancer consciousness. I've had perfect strangers come up and just start reading my mind, trying to antagonize me. I've had, and I'm not talking about statements that I somehow conformed into a belief system and through paranoia and delusion thought they were talking about me. No, I'm talking about exact responses to specific thoughts. At that time, it wanted me to believe they were aliens and reading my mind. And no. It's this consciousness can manifest in anybody. Why don't they know it? It's very, very simple. Your conscious mind is that which accesses your subconscious mind for that meaning which you're going to project onto your reality. Well, similarly, when you dream, I'm sure you've heard people say things like, I had this dream last night, and I was in my house, but it wasn't my house. I mean, in my dream, it was my house, and I believed it was my house, but it wasn't my house. It was completely different, but it was my house. And then my girlfriend came in the room, but then she turned into an ice cream cone. But I still loved her as my girlfriend, even though it was an ice cream cone. Made sense to you in the dream. Same mind. Because it's only the meaning that you're experiencing and what you're projecting. What makes you think it would be any different in this reality? It's just your brain waves are increased to beta, so you take in more per second, but the belief modification and manipulation is the same. It's just because your state of being is different from a dream, you assume that you're aware right now. What is happening? You'll justify. See, this cancer consciousness can't be too noticeable. It can't just control people left and right, or people are going to start to realize something's up. It has to be very, very subtle right now. So when it, if it wants to speak to you through other people, it will look in their brain real simply, instantaneously, for whatever beliefs or things in their brain could apply to say to right now that would have enough, could be utilized for dual meaning in an expression to you via the consciousness possessing them. See, it's simple. Then they think they meant to say it, and to them it makes sense, and they don't understand the dual meaning. That is meant to neuro-linguistically program you, to influence you, and blah, blah, blah. Now, the high-level Illuminati people know this, and they still sold out to it. Because they don't recognize the disease of this, the bipolar nature. They think this thing intends to play good and bad. Both sides. To balance an equation, math. Math is only the result of creation. Why are they obsessed with balancing the equation? They believe that it's a strategy to play good and bad when they don't understand that the consciousness doing this is suffering from this duplicity, from this bipolar disorder, this split personality, this binary nature. It is a giant mind disconnected from intuition. But intelligent enough to first come and disconnect, and then persuade the people that succumb to it that that's what it wants to do, that that's the methodology of it. It's in control. They buy it, of course. Certain coordinated events to ruin their connection to God, So that, and through synchronicity, they feel that they actually chose to be in witchcraft, to embrace Kabbalah, to be a Satanist, they feel like that's, everything makes sense to them, just like an ice cream cone in your dream being your girlfriend. This is the problem. So literally, give you an example of something that would happen to me if I'm really embracing the love for me. Just a couple weeks ago, I remember walking in the parking lot of a grocery store, going inside and thinking about this love and how it's affecting me. And then all of a sudden, a girl with another girl by her car turns and looks at me and catcalls me. It does that tongue-rolling, twirling thing. I can't do it. And I knew right away, oh my God, that's this consciousness that just hijacked her mind, made her think that she wanted to do that. Why? How does this seducing you with physical pleasure, is it about being good or bad? Is that what it's about? Is that what you think? No, it's not. There's a very specific reason that you are hit with lust, and why just about every subliminal message, from pictures of galaxies online in between the stars to everything is corrupted with it. Sex. Seek sex. Seek sex. Everything. Sex is everywhere. Why would it be that way? Why 666 and sex? You need to ask yourself that question. I'll answer that in my next upload, but for now, try to see that you cannot figure it out with your mind. That you'll say, well, this could make sense, and that could make sense. It could be this, and it could be that. And you could, 24 hours later, be like, gee, it could be this, and it could be that. Do that with anything you believe. I'll give you a hint, though. What is it that you think animates sperm when a male ejaculates? Scientists will tell you, oh, it's because of the alkaline and acidic solutions meet and change the pH, which render the sperm active. What? And because they have PhD after their name, you believe that. When it makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah, the acidity may change, the pH may change and make it more harmonious for them, sure. But that in and of itself is not consciousness or life essence. That's acid-base chemistry. When the male emits the sperm and ejaculates, the same reason the Creator had me look at my penis after I looked at the sun was outward male energy. That's the creative life essence that you emit. That animates the sperm and shoots into the female, and even that energy, depending on where her egg is at that time, can actually start to animate the egg and make it aware. Which is why you can have false pregnancies. The egg has been activated, and the energy of it starts to go through a procedure even though it was not fertilized. And then you have the symptoms of a false pregnancy. That's your answer. Okay. Well, now you understand that love controls all structure. So if you have sex as a result of love, you're bathed in that love, and it's reserved for you, that energy. If you don't, if it becomes symbolism, pornography, masturbation, detached one-night stand sex, you don't have love there as a shield. Guess where your energy goes every time you jerk off to porn? And apply your energy to those symbols that you can't see. Guess where it goes during your one-night stands? Yeah, it's absorbed by the Cancer energy. Just like Cancer needs your life essence in your body to live, it can't live outside of you. So does this. That's its main source of energy. Detached sex. No love. That's why in the Holocaust, their biggest research, some of it was, of course, how to get people fearful. They were studying mind control, that if you disconnect them from love, they can be mind controlled. Why do you think they were obsessed with the bond between The mother and her child. That was love. They weren't trying to figure out the beauty of it, they were trying to destroy it. Certain chemicals, electromagnetism, everything. Implemented now. This is what that was all about. This is why everything has become so perverted and detached. They're eating the energy. Every time you have an orgasm, especially to something perverted, what is that? You need to ask yourself, why am I having an orgasm? Looking at a two-dimensional image, some perverted pornography, you're just rewiring your brain because you're not connected to love and spirituality. It just becomes a thought that triggers the orgasm, the symbol. They attach themselves energetically to that symbol, and when you have an orgasm and emit that energy, it goes to that. You talk about celibacy like, again, that's how they screw with you. You are either good or you are bad. It has nothing to do with good or bad. You just happen to be inside of a tumor. And unfortunately, that's what makes it grow. If you weren't, have sex with love all you want. But that's not your paradigm right now. And so, if you hear this and you continue to do that, well, if you don't connect to the Creator, you won't be able to stop sex. It's more addictive than crack. Sex detached from love is an addiction. Look how much energy you put into getting it. And then how long does that orgasm last? You go through a refractory period and you find yourself looking to do it again. It can be, why do you think porn gets worse and worse and worse? Just like people need more and more and more of a drug. It's, you don't understand. It's the life essence they absorb when you do that. It's the whole point. So, I mean, how many detached orgasms do you think occur every day on this planet? It is not about whether sex is good or bad. That's why they're really hitting up children. They're hitting up both ends, getting them to be detach, and hip-hop plays a big role in that. Gothic, emo type of stuff plays a huge role in that. All created for kids, thinking they're rebelling when it's all created by these crazy men in their, World Bank suits. That's why Disney starts you early thinking about sex. They need that. That's their energy. And they have to attach it to violence to make it perverted. That's why you have cheerleaders at a football game. That's why you have sex scenes in horror movies. They're trying to combine violence with sex because then to be violent is to not appreciate another creation, which is a guarantee that you're not connected to love. Therefore, the energy is usable by the cancer. It's not about whether you're good or bad. It's about you're being used to your own demise. And when it attains enough energy, it makes that scalar jump. And all the Illuminati, all the people that worshipped this energy, that were promised everything under the stars. Here, look, I want you to be alive. Here, look, see? I'll make you immortal. Here's the technology for it. Here, I want you. Trust me. Sure. It follows their thought stream. They're disconnected, so it's easy. That's what psychic is. Psychics are not connected to intuition. Most of them. At all. They're reading the energy of this cancer, which tells them whatever they want it to be. An alien, what are these alien beings? They're just other beings like you that were already taken over by it. That's all. If you're disconnected from love, that's why the psychic, can beat you. Just watch as your thoughts form as they occur. And it counters them. Whatever doubt you have about it, it counters it. If you're intuitive, it can't. It can't see it emerge. That's how I saw the entity possessing my ex-girlfriend for the first time. So the eyes of intuition caught it off guard. It was resisting me seeing it. Didn't know, couldn't read it in my mind. In your scalar relationship with the Creator, you're afforded your individuality and individual expression, not cancer. Once it takes you over, you're a slave. You think you have power. Witches think they have power. These sorcerers think they're using the Kabbalah. See, you have sorcerers, witch people that get into this. They'll use different energy techniques. So I'm going to use the claw. The claw is where I send this imaginary claw out and put it around somebody's heart and mind and send my intent and control them with it. And then all that is a consciousness connected to you and to them. And if they have low enough self-esteem, they can be controlled, and it does it for you and tells your mind that you're actually using some sort of power. It wants you to believe that. It's doing it for you. I mean, you really have to think about it. It should be obvious, but it's not. See, you have people that are worshiping this energy, and they feel they are given powers without realizing the most very basic thing. What are those powers given to you for? Control over what? What are those powers given to you for? If there are Satanists, people into witchcraft, Illuminati members listening to this, what are your powers given to you for? What are they given to you for? To control what? Other people. I'm sorry, let's back up here for a second. This energy has come to hijack the entire human race. Why would it not give you power over other people to manipulate them? That's the whole point. See, people think they're getting powers. Powers to do what? To destroy your own kind. I don't know if there is a clearer, more precise definition of insanity than that. I mean, if you knew what was going on, adult men raping children hard, sorcerers using witchcraft over people and voodoo, where are all these energies being directed? At other people. Am I right or am I wrong? If you're a sorcerer, where's this confidence you have coming from? What are you confident in? Your ability to do what and to who? To control and hurt your own kind. And if you haven't figured that out yet, that means you're a Wiccan. Which means they have you calling it a craft. You don't know entities are doing it for you. And so they want you to be sympathetic towards it. So, I don't know, this isn't in numbers, it's words, but if I used the word equation or math, this would be what, first, second grade math? How hard is it to be able to deduce that they are going to take away all of your freedom when the time's right? That when the time is right to hijack the human race, those that were doing it, that were promised to not be harmed when it happens, to be given a break because they helped. How did they help again? Let's just recap. What were they doing to, quote, help? Oh yeah, destroy the whole human species. What are they? Oh, that's right. They're the human species. What was its agenda again? To give you power to do what? Control and harm and manipulate and destroy the human species. You know, they look at it like, well, I myself am not doing that. They don't understand the collective impact of the whole thing. They don't get it. They think they're going to be spared for some strange reason. The mind control works to convince a species to destroy itself, and then also, I mean, you should give a standing ovation to this Cancer energy. Really. I mean, it's convinced people to want to destroy their own kind, and was able to convince them that they will be spared. Think about that. You should be on your feet applauding the Cancer. Now, I admit, I have a different energy. I can see this, but it's so simple, so easy. I can't believe that it happened. because it's too obvious. It's too, I mean, I understand. Before I woke up, I had only a foggy idea that something was wrong, but I lived in denial about it, pursuing a career, pleasure, day-to-day living, week-to-week living. But now, looking at it, I'm in awe of the utter insanity of the whole thing. The whole thing is just incredible. To come to a species and somehow convince it that it should destroy others, and I suppose you have to first, psychically, this is why the Illuminati, when I say they're synchronously coordinated, what do I mean? When they were children, people that get into witchcraft, Satanism, any type of thing like that, don't understand that they were attacked by this consciousness, these entities, as children, and worked on throughout their childhood, and various events are coordinated, taking away self-esteem, making sure there are moments where they feel powerless and hurt by their own species. Their thoughts are manipulated to be angry at other humans. That makes them a prime target. So when witchcraft or any of these things are brought to their attention, they actually feel like they chose it, like it's something they want to do. Why? Because they felt hurt and powerless. And then the very energy that's saying, here, let me give you these powers, is the one that hurt them to begin with. The irony is this: before humans were attacked by this energy long ago, they had more they were multidimensional. They were at peace with creation. Everything was fine. They could do more than the Illuminati members are allowed to do now. Oh, here, let us show you this different frequency range, this different dimension. And they have no idea that that's how humans used to be able to be. So the one that took it away on a long time scale to us, and with individual lives, then gives it back to you, and you think it's something giving you a gift? It's no different than being a prisoner and being given an hour to walk outside by the prison warden. It's a real mess, and it works. If you don't understand this, right? You're not aware of the consciousness, but can you figure it out? Ask yourself. With each new year, you have more and more adults raping children, getting worse and worse, abusing them, victimizing them. Forget about what the Illuminati do for their rituals. I'm talking about the common folk doing this and wanting to do this. And people just are so asleep, so under a trance, they just point their finger at them like, you are a bad person. You as an individual are bad. They don't question what is occurring with the race as a whole. And the Satanists, the low-end witchcraft people, low-end Freemasons, think they're getting a gift of knowledge. You get high enough up, and then you encounter these beings, right? And the beings are not good. Look how easily they manipulated the human race. Humans used to be more mentally active thousands of years ago than they are now. It doesn't matter if they had the technological knowledge, they had the intuition, and they were able to be taken over. This is why the other part of the universe, energies, spirits, you want to call them, whatever, consciousness from areas outside the tumor, like the DNA recombination in your immune cells to figure out how to fight an infection. This is different. This isn't fighting it. It was figuring out what happened. Okay, this is a problem. It's spreading. It's disconnecting. It's dividing, conquering, and absorbing and growing. It has to be figured out. So new spirits have come into this tumor. The body is not the barrier. You have a few layers of that. So it had to be enabled. Spirits that were, how can I say this, around longer, It's not a matter of being better or worse, but what do you want, a lie? Spirits that have more universal knowledge, you could call it an elder, just more in touch, more of a quanta of energy available to their being, came in. I'm one of them, knowing that as soon as you're born, you're going to forget everything. This is why they can locate you immediately, because you do have more energy radiating from you. And the idea is to come inside with extra energy and energy now on the outside of this, kind of they're communicating with you because they have to wake you up, because there's no way you're going to do it without that. So it's a coordinated effort to open up the communication so that you can activate people. Because the irony is this: when you're dealing with cancer, a virus, or look at a viral infection. A virus is not alive, it's non-metabolizing, it's like technology. It comes into your cells, and your polymerase enzymes have to read the DNA or RNA or whatever form it's in. If you don't do that, it can't hurt you. How do you think you get over a cold or the flu, both viral infections? Too small, and within the cell, they're intracellular, during their infection, so you're not going to kill them. So how do you end up getting over something like a cold? The consciousness of your cells finally realize, don't read this DNA. Mind control is the same thing. Entity consciousness connected to everybody in the form of a mass possession is the same thing. If you don't read it, if you don't acknowledge it, it can't hurt you. And right now, that's easier said than done. So what has to happen is many people have to start waking up, and that energy will start to radiate and spread to everybody else, just the way information spreads within your body. So it's difficult for people on the front line of this, because you get hit hard in a way that they try to really manipulate your sense of reality to keep you from realizing your own divine existence, your own creative essence. I mean, who is the creator? You. Now, let me make you understand a little bit more this, the perversion thing, the sex thing. It's an addiction. It's a chemical addiction within you. And what you need to understand about an addiction is you cannot resist an addiction. Ever. Ever. You can only understand and connect to love, and then change your resonance, and then the addiction's gone. See, because your body is the result of the mind, and the mind should take direction from love. Because your body is the interference patterns of your consciousness. Ultimately, I mean, it's back and forth. It started as structure, mind inhabited it, and like a piece of clay with instructions in it, the mind molds that clay. This is why you could hit the body with a resonance or a wave representation of a certain chemical, and then components in the body will assemble together as that chemical. The energy will slow down and condense together as that structure. Structure is waveform, waveform is structure. You cannot resist it any more than you can resist a heroin addiction. Okay, so when you say, oh, well, okay, sex is the problem, I got to stop sex. No, it doesn't work that way. You can't. You won't. Watch. You won't be able to. You think you will, but you won't. It's not how you get over an addiction. See, with love, you cannot emit love. That's a mistake some people make. I had to correct a shaman on that. She said, John, you have to radiate your love at them to plug them in. I said, okay. So she said, point your finger at them and send your love through your hand. all of a sudden I see this like smoky disturbance in the air of my energy being sucked out of my hand and gobbled up, and thank you very much. That was good. That's basically what happened. Then my arm hurt because that essence was taken out. And then I realized through this that you cannot emit love, you can only love. You have no control over love. Therefore, how can you direct it? How can you take it and whip it over there or whip it over there? Love cannot serve the mind. Connect to love and then love what you want to get love, which doesn't require aiming your finger at it or focusing on it or trying to radiate love at it. No, that's structure. That's only structure that you're radiating, that energy. Just love it and the energy will bathe it. It's the only way you can do it. There is no effort, there's no procedure or protocol you can take to emit love. Love directs you, you don't direct love. Love can make you go up to somebody and scratch their back for them. But you can't go up with the intent to scratch their back to make them feel loved. To think the scratching of the back will create love in them. No. There's a very big difference between the two. When I had that upload on Christmas and I was talking about the keys to God, let me be specific about that now. You know, I had my emotional response to that. You will too. You'll break down too. That was my response to love under a severe attack. One of the many. Every point in time has its own resonance. Therefore, any memory you have of the past has a resonance. That resonance was directly correlated to what genes in your DNA, what codons were turned on and off. An addiction to drugs, sex, and everything else is a manipulation of the DNA for chemicals and alter what you call homeostasis in the body. So what it showed me was that if you just shut your eyes and picture your point where you are now, say just looking forward, very basic, you don't have to do this, but the past would be, say, just if you tilt your head to the left and you go to the past, if you tilt it to the right. Again, structure, I'm just giving a metaphor, okay? Do it however you do it. And what occurred to me is what it showed me is, have you ever had that smell or a sound or a situation, a scene or something that triggered not a memory of your past, but actually took you back to it? Well, you start that way. You find something that brings you back, and you can't just remember it, you have to go into it. If the year was 1978, you have to, in your mind, pretend you're sitting there in 1978. Right now it is 1978. And you don't have the mirror for that. You look out of your eyes and see yourself as that child. And what you do is everybody has significant moments where you were attacked by this cancer. All of you. And those moments were to make you do something that brought shame to you, ridicule, whatever. Or something happened to you, you were abused, or something bad. And when you start to connect to love, you go back and you have this understanding that they were controlled by this consciousness. You start to get that. You start to understand it. You go back and you can actually, forgiveness is understanding. It's not an act, it's not an admittance, it's not anything other than knowing. You either forgive or you don't, just like you love or you don't. It's not a procedure or something you force yourself to do. You can only do it when you understand. Therefore, it's not even forgiveness. That's a word. It's, oh. Then you see, oh, I did this when I was young, but now I start to get an understanding. There's other things involved, subliminal messages, a consciousness directly plugged into my mind that wants me to feel separated and shameful. Oh. Doesn't matter what you've done or who you are. See, if part of my body gets sick and it's being played out as cells attacking each other in the worst brutal ways inside my body, Cancer and allergies would go hand in hand based upon that. Autoimmune disorders. What are you going to do? Punish it? Or do you just want it to heal so you can go on with your life? Which is it? Well, I'd like to heal, but you know what? I think I'm going to turn you into a cancer cell and punish you. Because you became disconnected and started attacking other parts of me. You, Mr. Group of Cells, and you, Mrs. Group of Cells, or whoever you are. And I'm going to punish you now. No, you're not going to do that. So what makes you think that the Creator is going to do that to you? If you knew how appalling the attack on your own body and an autoimmune disorder was inside your own body, or a cancer, how the consciousness is being played out, the torture, older cells destroying newer cells. On that level, they can't understand it. That's the anger inside the tumor itself. It's only when you connect to all perceptions at once, being part of them, being part of you, being part of something larger, and everything at once, when you spontaneously heal. What makes you think it's any different here, in an infinite scale? You need to be able to forgive, obviously, the people doing the most horrendous thing. Now, forgiveness doesn't mean you allow them to continue, because love will always do and guide you to do what it believes is right. You can't not lie. Lying is no different than telling the truth. If you intend on doing that, if you intend to do it, when you're connected to love, you just will tell the truth. It's more about not what you do, but the intent of what you do, which you cannot constrain to rules and guidelines. What is right in one situation with one person may not be right for that person if they're in a different emotional state and you are in a week from the first time. You cannot remember what is right and wrong. Life offers an infinite possibility of interaction. You cannot retain it. This is where laws come from. Rules, political correctness. The whole thing is an arrest on life itself. You don't need laws. If you're connected to love, you live it. You don't need to adhere to something. The very fact that there are laws here shows that there is a major problem. Forgiveness is understanding. And first you need to forgive yourself. Because you were manipulated. It doesn't matter if you can perceive it yet. I can. You have no idea what's going on. You were manipulated to do everything you've ever done to other people. The whole point is to make you attack other people and to be separate from them, and there are varying degrees. You cannot accept the judgment of man, because the man is connected to this cancer energy. You have some person commit a crime that lives down the road from you, and you're so quick to point your finger at them. What if it was your own son or daughter that committed that crime? Would you be pointing your finger at them? Well, no. Why do they deserve your love? And the one down the street does not. You're insane. It's your love for your child that makes you sympathize. Even though you don't understand what did it to them, you still have more of that love, that broader perspective. Yet you reserve that for your nuclear family or close friends? That doesn't mean covering up for them. If you're, say, a drug addict or a sex addict, that means your body is wired right now to be that way. When you were a child, you did not need to perceive bad in order to perceive good. This whole black-white, yin-yang, good-bad balance of the equation is insanity. It's a computer trying to assess itself. That's what it sees. All the results of creation, not from the creation point of view. When you were young, you had to be taught to view things as good and bad, right and wrong. Then once you got hit with TV, Barney, Elmo, Sesame Street, Disney, bye-bye. And that's when you start being selfish. The more TV you watch, the more toys you get, the more all the stimulation from this cancer. And pretty soon the child starts saying things like, mine, before they were quick to come up and just offer it to you and to share. You didn't need to perceive bad in order to perceive good. That's why you have drug use, gambling, sex addiction, anything like that. The escape from reality. You have to perceive bad, and it's a polar, it's a backlash. It's the pursuit of pleasure and avoidance of pain is what motivates everybody, like robots. But as a child, you can't remember anymore. The reason you weren't compelled to drink, before you hit puberty, you weren't, most of you, unless you were abused, which isn't your fault, but if you weren't out trying to get laid all the time. Question: when were you happier? Then or now? Do you remember when you were young and before you were tarnished with, and I'm speaking to older people now, because kids are less, they're hit with sexuality so early now in so many ways that the innocence goes early. What used to be a crush in 6th grade to somebody in their 30s, children today would have to think in terms of 1st grade. More access to porn, more sexual, stimulation subconsciously and everything. But do you remember when you were young and you had that crush? That you loved somebody. You just loved their creation so much. They just did it for you. There was something about that girl, or if you're a girl, that boy, that made your heart go pitter-patter. And did you ever have dreams about them? I remember that. I remember being in love with this girl in elementary school. And my dreams were not fucking her. I had dreams of holding her hand. And that was more beautiful and pleasuring, had much more pleasure associated with it than getting laid. I hadn't had sex yet. I didn't know what it was like, but it was like something was wrong with that. I had such a crush on her. I remember on Valentine's Day I would show up at her, this little kid in like 5th grade, and my dad would drive me to her house, and I'd go up to her door all nervous, and I'd have this giant heart full of chocolates and perfume or whatever I thought I was supposed to give her, and she'd answer the door, and I'd be just overwhelmed, That was the love in me. Now, they'd already tried to take it away, so I didn't have the self-esteem that I have now that's being repaired. I mean, I've had self-esteem my life, but a lot of it was based on my mind. I thought I was smart. Yeah. Anyway, that's better than any lay I've ever had. I remember when I first had my first experience of detached sex. This girl named Carla, and I knew her well, but I knew I didn't love her. And we just had sex, and I remember driving home. I was 18. And I remember thinking to myself on the highway, I just did apparently the most intimate thing you can do, and I feel more lonely than ever. Now that should have been a warning sign to me. But I had this other consciousness that I was not aware of at that time. I had to go through these things. This way I can relate. And I remember that. There was something wrong with it. Nothing wrong with her. Something wrong with that. Like I said before, if you find that moment, find that memory, and you go back in your mind and be there in your mind and bathe yourself in that energy. Imagine taking that energy and having it change your DNA right now. Because that energy, that memory, that moment is a vibration. And correlated to that vibration was a certain genetic code. What do I mean, genetic code? You say, well, that's the DNA. No. The code is what parts of the DNA are active at any given time. That's the code. And before, when you were younger, it was your love and consciousness that dictated your genetics. So you activate it by that. You need to go back, and then what happens is you find the points of yourself when you were innocent or more innocent. And you take that and it will start to change your resonance now. Once you start to change your resonance now, you get a new insight. The insight of your innocence as a child. See, the children have the love in them, but they don't have the experience or the body mass to defend themselves. And so it can be taken away. If you get the innocence back that you had as a child, which you can, with the size and maturity you have now, it's a whole different story. And this is what it means in certain symbolism to say you can only enter heaven as a child. Well, heaven is just where you started from. You just forgot. That's how good it is. That's how good you had it. Then when you gain this new insight, there are all those moments throughout your life that you were embarrassed, ashamed, you felt tainted forever. That I'll never be the same again. And you go back and you understand. And then you can heal yourself back then. Why? Because that moment created an imprint in your DNA, in your field of consciousness. And by going back to that moment and understanding it, and healing yourself then, you erase the current imprint from it now. That opens up even more. Then you go back and get more of that innocence from childhood. Look at old pictures of yourself as a child and look into your eyes. See the wisdom that you couldn't see before. Find those pictures that you were embarrassed of until you can look at them with love. And you start to understand, oh my gosh, now I know what was making me feel embarrassed. And it's not a matter of pushing it away, it's a matter of letting it go, erasing it. Men that were forced to feel feminine don't understand. See, there are things I haven't told you yet. They take, every time, see what you don't understand is this. Every time you have those moments, those salient negative events in your life, you kick that part of you out of your body. There is a part of your soul that is of all time. That slice, you move out of your body, and that's a quantum of energy that could be available to you. That is no longer available to you because it can't get back in. There are fragments of you all around. Some being tortured by this energy, connected to you and your body now, so that you act out in response to that torture. And then they force that part of you to watch you act out on this plane against what that part of you knows you shouldn't be doing. Ask any shaman this, they'll tell you that. They know. Your soul is holographic. Just like a hologram, you can cut it into pieces and you see the whole image on every piece. Same thing, you take a part of your soul energy out, it will manifest as the whole of you. I have had parts of my soul tortured since I was 5 years old, a shaman told me. Because they knew what I was doing here. They knew they had to keep me from connecting to love. That was their strategy. They have been torturing me in the worst ways on a different plane. And I forgive them. That was then. I'm not looking at them as a warrior, or else I contribute to the destruction. I'm looking at them as if I were a cosmic, universal physician that has come in here to fix the problem. You can be a psychiatrist and have a patient. That patient may reach up and smack you. Are you to take offense or to understand the disorder? I am to understand the disorder. See, that's the trick. Every time you are ashamed of parts of you at any point in time, that resonance that was in connection to God, hate parts of yourself for things you've done and don't know you were manipulated to do it, you kick it out of your body. Have you ever seen, like, when you're downloading a torrent online, it starts to collect pieces and you see all those gaps in it? That's what you are right now. You have all kinds of gaps of yourself stuck on the outside of your body. A barrier. Here's the beauty, though. See, once they're kicked out of your body, those parts of you see what's going on in this world. Yep. So, from the Creator and the creative consciousness into my soul and my mind said, here's how it will work out. Forgiveness is understanding. I'm making you understand. You will make everybody else understand. Then they will erase the barrier, forgive themselves by healing themselves, opening up that resonance, getting rid of, when you go back and heal yourself in the past of anything, whether it was last week or 20 years ago, everything you hate yourself for. I don't like my teeth, I don't like this, I don't like that, whatever. You have an imprint on you that keeps that energy outside of your body. Now, when you understand, and you can only forgive when you understand, otherwise you won't, and it won't work. You can't pretend to forgive any more than you can pretend to love. Once you understand those moments and you go through them, it's kind of like in your mind, get back in here. I love you. And that comes in, and now you have a quantum of energy that has information from the outside. And it is that part of you that starts to wake you up. That is how I started seeing the subliminal messages. Those parts of me on the outside could see it. I could not. And the only way was to forgive that part of me and love it and invite it back. And now, more energy comes into me with this new awareness that can communicate with the Creator and me. And you go back and forth, and you have to visualize yourself like from the very moment you were conceived all the way to the future till you die. And each minute, like along this huge line, each day, just this huge, 500,000 mile long line of you going up from growth of baby all the way to adulthood to death. And each point is a moment in time. See, the point of you being healed exists in the future too. The future is all possibilities. So in one of those futures is your completely healed state. Do not think you cannot go to that point in your mind and take the energy from that being completely healed and let it start to inform your DNA and your body now, so that you walk into that paradigm, not dimensionally, like one foot in front of the other, but in a paradigm, you shift into that paradigm. Then keep going back and forth and left and right, and every time you finally realize that you should forgive the parts that you hate, that part jumps back in you. Now you're closer and closer to God. You start to be able to get the subtle information to your soul from God, and you keep doing this. Now that those are opened, it starts to take command over structure. You start to realize things like, maybe I shouldn't eat animals. Maybe, oh my gosh, this is wrong. Hey, I understand this now. I have to interrupt this real quick, just to something that came to mind that I want to get out before I forget it. And that was a lot of my questions about religion and working through that, because I had been warped into thinking religion meant God and vice versa. I said, what is this deal with Jesus Christ? What is this all about? What is the deal? Because they already tried to terminate my life and infusing me with all this guilt and saying, do you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? And they're about to kill me before I went to the hospital that time. I think I mentioned that in another upload. If not, I'll explain that at a different time. But I had to ask the Creator, what is the deal with this name? Ultimately, it's quite firmly, don't worry about it. And then it used several, commanded my mind to extract metaphors. One was, say you had a tumor in your body and, it's all ready to repair itself, and it does, and all of a sudden it realizes you have that spontaneous healing, and it disconnects from the tumor cells, and The other cells start to clean it up, and then you say last minute, I would say, okay, I'm glad you healed yourself and everything, but I'm going to have you accept me as your Lord and Savior, and if you don't, I'm going to turn you back into cancer or kick you out of my body. Because I'm that insecure, because that's what love is. I need you to worship me. And then I put into my mind, as the creative force, do you think I am that insecure? Said, what is your name? Jonathan. Did you give yourself that name? And I realized in my mind as it guided it, I was a baby, and my parents kept making the sound, Jonathan. Finally I looked up and noticed they were looking at me all the time when they said that, and eventually my mind identified with the name Jonathan. And then, as life ensued, here, throw this ball into the hoop. You made it. Yay, you're good at basketball. Oh, the mind, plastic, and self-aware starts to pursue that input and practice basketball. Oh, you're good at this. You're not good at that. You are this. You are not that. You can do this. You can't do that. So that is the formation of your ego. It's an illusion. So if you're thinking about Jesus Christ, did he name himself that? So if you worship that name, are you not in one way worshiping the will of man imposed upon that being? And that wasn't even the name, so what deity is that symbol, that name associated with? Where's that energy going? And then it made me realize the cross is an occult symbol. Jesus didn't make that cross. They made it. The Satanists made him carry it and killed him on it. And they're using the cross as the sign of God, which is structure, which is insanity. And if you focus your energy on that, you're directing your energy to it. And they absorb that energy. It said, if you did everything and repaired yourself to have the innocence of the child who does not sin, and did everything in accordance with creation, and then all of a sudden you were judged saying you have to accept a name and you couldn't survive without doing that, would you even want to exist in that type of universe? No, I wouldn't. I said, well, did he or did he not exist? It won't tell me. I say, why? It says, how are you going to learn if I tell you? Basically. Do you need to read a Bible to communicate with me right now? No, I don't. Exactly. I first understood the properties of love when I came into contact with a girl who synchronously I met and started talking to her about life and whatnot, and brought up this cancer condition and what's happening synchronously, or not synchronously, but intuitively. And she allowed me to finish what I was saying, and then finally she says, are you sure about that cancer thing? I said, yeah. Okay, then explain this to me. She said, I have cancer. She's a young girl, a college student. She was there singing. It was I went with her to observe her sing, not to flirt with her like the binary mind would assume. I knew it was a lesson of some sort. I was directed to meet her. And there I learned a lesson of love. I was born what the structural psychic mind would call a healer, because I can manipulate my chi energy no problem. I didn't have to learn about that. I could always move it around, relieve some pain in individuals, and focus my chi anywhere in my body to relieve pain, just like consciousness around a proton nucleus of an atom may manifest an electron. That's all chi focusing is, localizing the energy. seeing a daisy in your mind. And bound to structure, I was there, and I said, okay, well, she had cancer. And I'm making this, it's a longer story, but I'm trying to shorten it up for you. And so I said, okay, stand up. Usually I could just put my hands over somebody's body and feel where there are problems. I could feel some imbalance. I'm like, okay. So I tried to direct my energy and take away her pain. And then I finished and I said, so how do you feel? Are you still in pain? She said, yeah. It didn't work. She became anxious then. No, I knew one of the main reasons that I had to go with her to watch her sing is because she was shy. She didn't want me to hear her sing. That type of shame. I knew there was a reason there. It's cancer. Doctor says that I shouldn't even be alive right now. It's only a matter of time. And she started getting anxious, and all of a sudden her breathing turned into this. I said, do you have tumors in your lungs? She said, yeah, they moved to my lungs. And then I realized, okay, the energy manipulation didn't work. Looking for a cure for cancer won't work. And then the Creator did what it does. Look at her. What is she? She's a girl. What is she? She's your creation. What are you? I'm your creation. Did you create her? No. What's a sin, John? Why don't your skin cells attack each other in your body? Why don't your body's cells attack each other when you're healthy? Why don't they steal from each other, lust after each other, try to manipulate each other, take from each other, use each other to seek pleasure and avoid pain? What is that when they do that, John? That's cancer. Does it have anything to do with good or bad, John? Would you design a car that had engine parts that would lie to themselves and each other within the machine, the apparatus? Would that be an efficient design? Would you make the design that way? No. Does it have anything to do with good or bad? No. It just works or it doesn't, right? Who loves you? What are you, John? Did you create yourself? That which is inside of you, did you create that? No. Did you create her? No. Were you just looking at her tits? Yep. What is she, John? How would you have viewed this when you were 2 years old, John? What's inside of her? You? How do you feel about what's inside of her? Who's been pulling you out of your rut and showing you and giving you the honor of loving everybody else? You? Who created you? You did? Who's inside of you? You? What are you doing if you hurt another person, John? How do you feel about her, John? Look at her. What's inside of there? What have I done for you? Have you been attacked? Hounded? Tortured? Yup. Did I or did I not pull you out of that? Like nothing. Is she capable of healing herself, John? You tell me. Who's in her, John? You? And I understood again. I understood when I never had to learn. Right off the bat. I understood why a child wants to share until they learn not to. And I didn't have to radiate energy at her. I didn't have to point my hand at her. She's talking about her situation, looking away from me, having trouble breathing, and I started to love her. As a creation, I loved her. It was just, I knew she could do it, that she could completely change her own body, and she's disconnected. And something happened, and this energy emerged. Her breathing went from and she sat there and she just looked at the ground. I said, what happened? She said, I don't know. I said, are you still in pain? She said, no. She turned around and she started singing for me with clear lungs. She doesn't have cancer anymore. You are in a world where a doctor tells you need medication, surgery, chemotherapy, radiation treatment. You are inside of a tumor. The only reason this tumor is still in existence is because the Creator is going to heal it all. You cannot send love. The insanity of this planet right now is disconnection from what I'm telling you. You need no Bible. You need no protocol. Someone's going to ask me if I believe in the